This is an olive tree. And with the olive tree, what you do is you take the leaves and you get about half a teaspoon or more, cut them up and put them in a cup of hot water, like 180 degrees, not any hotter. Let it sit for like 10-15 minutes, and then you can drink it. And that's an antiviral, antimicrobial, all that kind of stuff. It's the strongest antiviral in the world, along with oregano. So either one prevents virus outbreaks and things like that. Really good. I also dry it up in the oven, and I make capsules out of it. And also, you don't want to air dry the leaves, because then you lose the medicine called allopurinol in the leaves. So what you do is you just use them fresh, or you put them in the oven and oven dry them at 180 degrees for about 3 hours until they're nice and dry. Then you put them in a jar and got yourself some olive leaf tea. Really, really beneficial for you. So that's one there. My camera's working upside down. There we go. This isn't a very good example, but this is stinging nettle. And the way to handle stinging nettle is you can, if you have a lighter, you can light and just burn the plant real quick underneath the leaves and on the stems, and that neutralizes the stinging effect. Or you can dip it in hot water real quick, pull it out, and eat it. The long green fresh stems are used as a noodle replacement, so you can use that instead of pasta. This cleanses your lymph system out like chickweed does. Or you can take the leaf and you bend it over like that. Then you roll it up in your hand, and then that neutralizes the sting. And you can open it up, and then it's no more sting, see? And then you can eat it, just like that. And it's usually grows in soil that's high in nitrogen. It's a really good plant for you. I dry it and make tea out of it and stuff like that. And I also put it in capsules, but mainly I make tea with it. I like to eat it fresh too. You can see all the chickweed growing out here, and the yellow dock. It's really good. Anybody's anemic, if they eat yellow dock, it should help out their anemia. This one here is a really good plant, the root and on top, what grows above the ground. If you have long stalks on it, you just take a machete or a knife, go down the stalks, pick all the stickery parts off, and then you eat that. It tastes like celery. With this, what you do is you cut the stickery parts off, the ones, the pointy parts. You cut that off, then you eat the rest. You can eat it fresh or cook it, doesn't matter. When this grows flowers and it goes to seed, they're purple and then they turn white. Then the seeds dry up and blow off in the wind. That's when new plants are born. But the seeds are also sold to drug companies, and that's how you get milk thistle when you buy it in the drugstores. Is people actually harvest the seeds and send them in. And this is the seeds are the only cure for wild mushroom poisoning. So I just take it off and I eat it, Take off the leaves and cut off the sticky parts. Okay, there's a lot of mallow around here. Oh, here's some more stinging nettle right here. Yeah. This is in the back of our property. So remember, you just take the leaf and you pinch it over in half, roll it up, and that gets rid of the sting, see? Then you can pop it in your mouth and eat it, or you can make tea with it, put it in soups or whatever. And here's those stalks, the fresh stalks on them. Use that, in place of noodles. Yeah, it's really, really good for you. And then I was going to show you about eucalyptus. There are 17 varieties of eucalyptus that grows outside of Australia. And I have a bunch of eucalyptus trees. So right here is eucalyptus. So this is how menthol is made, is eucalyptus. And I make my own essential oils and things like that as a hobby. I also make medicines for some people. And what you do is you take a leaf. If it's a really big leaf, you use like a half a leaf and just drop it, cut it up and put it in a cup of hot water. And then it's really, really good. You can mix it with other things like any of these other plants I was telling you about, like the stinging nettle or the chickweed or pine. I'll show you the pine in a minute. And then you just make yourself a cup of tea that way. And you get a lot of good vitamins and stuff like that for yourself. Don't let it dry out because it's no good when it dries out. Well, it might be good, but it's really hard to make it into tea. Usually the plant will sink to the bottom after it's released its medicine, like olive leaves and stuff like that, and pine, nettles, needles. They do that. They go to the bottom after they've released their medicine, but you cut them up first, put them in hot water. All right, you can put boiling water over eucalyptus and pine, just not over olive leaves. Now I'm going to go find the pine and show you that. Okay, this is a pine, all right? And what you do is you pull the pine needles off, and then you take that little brown part on the bottom, remove those, and you take the pine needles and take about that many right there, and make sure you take the dead ones out, and then you cut them up about half-inch pieces, or tear them up. Sometimes I do that if I'm out camping. And you put the hot water on there. The more you heat the water, the more you cook out the vitamin C. Some people like to heat it for up to 2 minutes, you know, boil it to get more of a piney flavor. I don't boil it. I like to just let it steep, and then when the pine needles release their medicine, they go to the bottom. And then it's ready. And I also mix it with eucalyptus and stuff like that, and that's my plan. Now, the little cones at the end are the male cones, and in the springtime they turn yellows. You'll notice yellow at the end of the pine needles, at the end of the branch. The female cones are the big pine cones, and they have the seeds in them, so you can eat the seeds too. But with this, you can collect the dust, and you can eat the dust. But it's nature's Viagra. So, like, if a man's sperm count is low, or he has erectile dysfunction, and he eats a lot of the male pine cone dust, then he will have, like, taken Viagra. And if it's given to women, they want to have sex more often, you know, stuff like that. And it makes them, so people like are going through chemotherapy and stuff like that, trying to have babies. They have pine pollen. It helps them have a baby easier. Especially if the person with the cancer's taking the pine pollen. It's called pine pollen, not pine dust. But anyway, so that's that. You can also eat the inner layer of the pine bark, called the camas. You can cut out like a 4 inch by 6 inch section on the side of the tree that faces the sun during the day. And there's other edible trees like willow bark and stuff like that, but they don't taste too good. Birch is okay. And so you can do that. Anyways, I just want to share some of this survival foods, you know, like if you're out hiking, camping, and you can't get back, and you don't want to be too hungry. Another thing, which I don't have a picture of right now, or any examples because I'm too far away from it, is ferns. The new growth of ferns, you know, that are still curled up, those, you can steam those and eat those, and they're kind of like asparagus. Also, in the roots of ferns is a round ball in the roots, and that round ball retains water. That's why ferns go a long time without water and survive. So you just take that you dig up the fern root, and you take those round balls under the ground, under the fern, and they're full of water. And you just squeeze those into your mouth, and that way you have water if you're around ferns. I just want to share these survival techniques if you're out with your gauntlet. I'll share some more another time. All right.